Thank you. Thank
Thank you, Jack. It's always wonderful to have you playing for us.
you. Glad
Now
to
it
be
is
here.
my distinct pleasure to introduce our speaker today, our illustrious, exhilarating Associate Minister, Minister Emeritus of Unity Carlsbad, and please welcome Reverend Cathy Carver.
Thank you, my dear. Thanks.
There you go. That helps too.
Okay.
Always the side.
That's that one. Okay. I think everything's backwards here. First of all,
First of all, we're going to click one so they know who you are.
oh. As president of this university, I welcome all of you to the final review for the last class that many of you will ever have to take. First, I would like to thank some other faculty members behind the scenes: Jack Dalbandian, Chase Gomez, Sunshine Smith, who introduced me so eloquently, Betsy Horton, many people behind the scenes, farther behind, like Doreen, and the other one so far behind I can't find her. Oh, there she is. Tina Sharp.
Darlene.
Who?
Darlene.
Who did I say? I said Doreen. Darlene. Stand up, everybody knows anyway. So these other professors, and the president of the board, Mark,
El Presidente.
Victor. Yes. Now with that, I get out your notebooks. I don't see anyone doing it. Good morning, class.
Good morning, Mrs. Carver.
As you know, we sent out an email to the graduating class of 2019, reminding you all today that today is the review for your final exam. I don't need to impress you with its importance. Some of you, I understand, have even dreamed about it. Those who pass will be instrumental in raising the consciousness of the entire planet Earth into the fifth dimension, and then welcoming the galaxy will welcome the Earth as the newest ascension planet. But those who don't pass the final exam will remain in the third dimension. Of course, you're used to it. Frankly, I prefer to rise above it. This curriculum has been called Reincarnation. It included classes that teach that the one being is actually each one of us, even though we certainly appear to be different individuals. It taught us that we must incarnate on Earth over and over again in different physical forms of all types, different races, different genders, colors, and economic classes. Each time we wear a different body until we finally learn what? What did we learn? That there is one being, all. I don't like the fact that no one shouted that out. So I'm going to have to repeat that a few times. Another subject we study is the illusion of time. This class teaches that time is an illusion experienced only on Earth, our holographic school. Reality is actually timeless, just like God. Reality never begins and it never ends. It is the eternal now, the present. Reality is never separated into past, present, and future. There is no separation. We are here to learn that this is the world of cause, filled with infinite potentiality. Not this world that we see, the infinite world of now, of timelessness, spacelessness, infinity. We are to finally conquer the illusion that anything that is visible causes nothing. I don't care if it's a wart on your nose. Well, you care. I don't care whether it's $1 in your wallet, whether it's a tumor in your head. If you can see it, it's not real. Earth demonstrates that the effects of what is done in the invisible world, the world of cause, that's the place where everything begins. A fourth-year course, as you all know, is called The Death of Death. I always liked that class. Did you like it, class? Yeah. Good. It teaches us to understand that what we think of death is simply the end of the grade in that current Earth school year, and the exchange of the body we wore for that grade for one that's better for the next higher grade. So you can look forward to death. Imagine a brand new body. People love to get a new car. Why not a new body? So think of it as a brand new uniform to wear for each grade. There's no death. There's only one being wearing better and better clothes and thinking higher and higher thoughts and knowing more. When we pass all the final exams, especially the one that you're going to be getting soon, our next life or grade is always easier. When we fail, we have to take the same grade over and over, repeat the subjects that we flunked until we pass. Easterners call this karma. Westerners call this the school of hard knocks. Until they realize it's just the cause and effect world. We must also learn that Earth is a free will planet. This means that there is only one energy and one substance, but we've been given free will to use the one energy and substance as we choose. We can use it for good or evil. Remember the famous tree in the Bible, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? The knowledge, notice, is the word. This illustrated it's your freedom to choose between A or B, good or evil, light or dark, anything that's opposite. But we're to learn that the fruits of that tree, the effects of the choices we make, well, they can be bittersweet. One fruit can be bittersweet if you made the wrong choice, and the other can be just delicious if you make the right choice. It was a beautiful, simple analogy for children. Now for us, electricity is a simple analogy of one power but two opposite uses. It's one energy and one power, but it can be used in many ways, but first two opposite ways. You can use it to light a Christmas tree or to electrocute a person. For two very different effects. One cause, one power, one electricity. So who's responsible for the good or the bad things that appear later on Earth as a result of our choices? God? The one power? Nope. Our free will choices. Each one of us is responsible for the choices we make and the effects that it causes in the world of appearances. You create your world with the decisions you make mentally. You create your karma. That's really what you flunk your class, you take it over again, that's all. In modern terms, the law of karma is expressed as what goes around and comes around. Jesus taught karma as the second great commandment following love one another. I must have missed a couple. That's the differences in the people and the bodies. How could I have done that? The death, I did miss some. And I like that. That kind of looks like Darth Vader. The one power, that's a good one. The Christmas tree or an electrocution. This is, I just finally got this, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Why? Because there's only one being that's being done unto, or that's doing. It's the same being. If you do something to someone else, you think it's really you have revenge on them, guess who you're also hurting? Yourself. You're only doing it to another variation of yourself. Each one of us in this room is one self, isn't it? It's hard to believe because we look so different. We act so different, we all talk different, we think differently, but it doesn't matter. There's just one self sitting in each seat in this room. And guess who that self is? The one presence and power. Now Moses taught karma and its effects to the children of Israel when he got the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, babies. He taught them to the children of Israel because they were immature race of basically primitive people. So they had to be told what not to do. Bad girl, don't do that. You know, take your hand, keep it away from the fire. Because children don't understand words yet. They have to have a little slap, but maybe that's illegal these days. Later, Jesus taught that there was another way to avoid bad karma. He said we must forgive those who have offended us. And you know, it takes years sometimes to think of the Our Father. Because our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. How does it go now? And forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. Why? If I don't forgive you, I haven't forgiven me. Because guess who we are? Just one. We are one literally. We are all infinite expressions of the one infinite being. We're not separate from it. We're just very different expressions of it. So it follows if we don't forgive others, we will not be forgiven. But doesn't it take a long time to think of that in the Our Father and to see what he really meant? Here's a simple analogy that might help us understand the idea of oneness, expressing as variety. I want you to imagine looking at a painting on the wall. That doesn't excite me at all. That's better. The painting. Now, you can tell there are a lot of people there, right? On that canvas, many people, men and women, all colors, you can't even tell, different races, different shapes and sizes, but when you look deeper, underlying every single one of them is what? One canvas. Each one appears to be separate, but if we look deeper, there's only one substance underneath, one essence, canvas. In the same way, although we see apparently separate forms, Especially I do from up here. I see all the separate forms sitting there. We are united in one essence. But remember Jesus said the kingdom of God is within. Do you know what? So is the world we create. It's a projection of our thoughts. And if you don't believe you're the one God, you think you're somebody different from that, then you create a miserable reality, or at least not a perfect one. Because unless you know you're God, you're not going to have a perfect world. The minute you know who you really are, things change. So in God, we really do move, live, and have our being. People call this omnipresent energy by different names. God, substance, energy, or the modern physicists, they call it the field. But they're all names, many different names for the one being expressing as us. Do you realize how boring it would be if a painting had just one person on it over and over again? Think of it in your mind. You could even take your own, although that may be just darling for you. But if you just take your own person and see it, stamp it, if each one of us looked alike, how would we know who we were talking to? How would we know anything, really? I mean, who would we marry, ourselves? I mean, yes, but we don't know that. What a god-awful thought. I mean, what a wonderful thought. So there's really only one presence and one power, one invisible actor appearing in many roles, wearing many costumes. Some are cute and some not so hot. That's why we all identify ourselves by saying, I am. I think I have this in here later, but I can't resist right now. When Moses asked God what his name was, he said, I am that I am. I think God meant, I am that I am, I am that I am, I am that I am. And I mean, when you look at it as that way, there's so many words that change their meaning as you change your understanding. Because we bring our consciousness to every word we read, whether it's in the Bible or in a book, and one day you think, geez, I read that book 30 years ago. Boy, it got smart. Now, let's look at history for a minute. The Crusades, what was that? A war fought on religious differences. I don't know. I give up. Now, what happened there? Thank you, Sunshine. I think I only have one more, but I don't even see it.
There you go.
Oh, that's it. A miracle! The Crusades were a war fought on religious differerences. World War I, class differences. It ended the rule of the classes over the masses. It resulted in equality instead of quality. To me, all you have to do is look at Downton Abbey. The Civil War, all based on the right of freedom of men based on what color. World War II tried to exterminate a whole race based on the belief that they were different from the Aryan races. And then along came women. Not that they weren't there early, but they were chattel to men for centuries and centuries. It was just, I'm not sure of the date anymore, but when they got their freedom from being chattel. But I know they didn't get the vote till like 1920 or something like that. 19 who? 1919. I'm usually close. Segregation, again based on color, the whites and the blacks. And yet, Martin Luther King exemplified the best and purest ideas of equality, love, and peace. And the white governor of Georgia, governor of Alabama, died fighting for the right to hate, separate, and dominate. The LGBT, a war based on sexual differences. HIV, a war based on people who had a disease. And on TV news right now, we have present histories, present challenges, but again, separate us, divide us. You believe this, can't stand you. You believe that, can't stand you.
It's true.
To me, not liking whoever might be president or running for president, I don't want to lose one single friend over the appearance of something which is really not real anyway. So the lessons we need from learned history is one, stop all forms of separation based on outer differences. Use righteous judgment. That means using your judgment rightly. See the truth that we are all indivisible one underneath. Differences are merely variety. I know this may be repetitious and seem like oversimplification, but it certainly is that every negative event originates from just two wrong beliefs. My notes say one, but in the meantime I realize it's two. The belief that we are separate from each other, separate from God. That's why Charles Fillmore, who was obviously awake, called us unity, to stress there is no separation. It seems to me there's supposed to be something else here. Number 9 PowerPoint.
I am.
Ah, thank you. Back to the class I was teaching. I got excited for a minute. I am is also the present tense of being. Those two simple words, I am, are present. I am present now, always, forever, everywhere. There is no time or space. Modern science is finally discovering this to be a fact also. We are all enrolled in the School of Earth, and this, of course, this class will graduate or not. When we finally learn that we're all equal, no matter all our outer differences, when we take off all our costumes and we have a revelation, we see the one being, one actor was really wearing the costume all along. The course all of us are taking in this room on Earth is called Oneness 101. It's the #1 course because we must discover this. That's why I've been hammering it over and over again. That's why Unity's thing that we all say in the very beginning is there is only one presence, one power, active in the universe and in my life, and we are one with that power. The things that we say every day, and yet we do not understand. And it sometimes takes years, and often a hit on the head, and sometimes flunking and getting a really bad grade, like an F on your report card, to wake you up. It's time we graduate. It's the crown of the mysteries, the ascension. We and the planet need to ascend to higher and higher frequencies and vibrations. Heaven has been here all along, but until our consciousness is high enough to see it, we see what we create, not what God created, because He created in His own image and likeness, perfection. We create quite a bit less perfectly. I may be damaging somebody in this room. There may be somebody here who has everything perfect, like me. Our next lives depend on what we choose in this life. So I want each of us to repeat one thing after me today, using the words here. Let us say, I am dropping my karma today. I am dropping my karma today. I am dropping my karma today. Second, one more time. I am dropping my karma today. You just used the power of God to cause something to be. So now you're released from karma, not class. Let's all graduate together. Remember, always use I am for good, because that is the absolute power of God that you're using. There is no little human I. There's only one presence, the Christ, the Son. The many visible appearances of the invisible I, the Father. We are all pregnant with the Christ within. When we all give birth or deliver the perfect outer expression of God, symbolized by the baby, there will be peace on earth, just like the angels sang. We're all one, and all one, the one. Call the doctor. It's almost time to deliver. The pains are 2 minutes apart. Are you ready?
Yes.
I am. Class dismissed. Good luck.
Now, you want to go right into your meditation.